No bail for Sean Combs. He's too dangerous. That's the view from the judge. Does that mean the judge will feel the same when it comes to sentencing? I had a chance to speak with Harvey Levin today of TMZ. He's been doing this incredible job on TMZ Presents United States versus Sean Combs inside the Diddy trial. And here is our conversation about what happened in Manhattan today. It's incredible. It doesn't matter who you ask. There seems to be shock one way or the other on Diddy about the verdict and then, of course, the bail.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of people, myself included, misread the jury with what happened here. I think that we all thought it was bad news for Diddy just based on the way things laid out. It was the opposite. It was really the opposite. And, you know, when I heard about the one juror, an hour in, that the jury is complaining he's not following the instructions, I thought that had to be a holdout for not guilty. But it seems like it's the exact opposite, that this jury was unconvinced from the jump that the prosecution proved its case on the major issues. Ashleigh, I got to tell you, what Diddy was convicted of is equivalent to somebody in the San Fernando Valley transporting a sex worker to Beverly Hills to do a three-way. And that would end up, if even prosecuted at all, as a misdemeanor case in the city attorney's office. That's what the prosecutors ended up with here. This is a spectacular loss for the prosecution.
But it's also shocking because one of the questions from this jury was, if someone asks for the drugs and the defendant gives the drugs, is that distribution? Which is clearly yes. Well, but that didn't seem to be enough.
It didn't seem to be enough. And look, you know, we've talked about jury nullification. I don't know that that's the case. To me, this case in many respects was square peg round hole. That you try and somehow create a racketeering enterprise around this crazy criminal, nutty, jealous boyfriend who's committing all these random acts. I mean, you know, what I've always talked about is this wasn't organized crime, it was disorganized crime. And it was all this scattered stuff. And I think when the jury heard they're trying to show racketeering, that they looked at everything with a jaundiced eye. And the Mann Act, I mean, you can't get around it, that there was clear proof of the Mann Act. But even with, you know, all of the sex trafficking charges, they're looking at freak-off videos where they're seeing Cassie engaged in these sex acts. And they're trying to figure out, where is the lack of consent? And I understand she testified, but they've got these powerful images. And he is an abuser. He is criminal the way he's acted. But they had to look at this case. And I think especially because of racketeering, it just kind of felt like they were out to get him.
Well, the racketeering, I'm just sort of gobsmacked because you saw the distribution question, so they clearly thought that he was distributing drugs, and it just mattered if somebody asked for them first. So once they got that instruction, they should have been clear on drug distribution. They saw assault. They saw and heard from multiple witnesses bribery. They saw and heard from two witnesses that were there that Cassie got smacked around in the middle of a freak-off and was told to come out and finish strong, and her escort lost his erection. He was so upset about it. There's so much evidence that would have supported multiple predicate acts for racketeering, but they just couldn't come up with it.
Well,
that's where I'm just sort of like...
But what if I'm right on this, that he's... Look, I mean, Ashleigh, you have heard over the years about how difficult it is for prosecutors sometimes because of television shows like CSI, that they just get it perfect, and then all of a sudden it's imperfect in real life, right, and it magnifies for the jury. What I would offer you is Tony Soprano, and that's the image that people have of a racketeer. Yeah. John Gotti is the image of what people have as a racketeer. And then you look at Diddy and you say, that's why I'm saying square peg round hole, that they're looking at Diddy saying, really?
They need new words.
Well, it's the law. The law is racketeering.
They need to rewrite. They need a new law that deals with commercial and or elite sex trafficking, because we're seeing elite sex traffickers all the time. Peter Nygaard's an elite sex trafficker. Epstein, elite sex trafficker. And the allegation is that Diddy is an elite sex trafficker too. They're not making money, but they're getting their jollies, which is the value.
But then it's a sex trafficking case. How is it a racketeering case? In other words,
well,
look at Bad Boy
add up all the rest.
Well, no, but Ashleigh, you look at Bad Boy Records and you say, this is a criminal enterprise where he's using it to further this criminal venture. This is not selling drugs. This is not doing hits on people. I mean, that's what people think of with racketeering.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.